tradition. We would sit and we'd talk and reminisce, and then we'd go out. He had a ring in the back, and his wife would take a tape measure, and we would do shot put, you know. So, yeah, and then I used to just enjoy taking my bicycle and with one of my brothers or alone, and just ride to the countryside, you know, and just remember things and reminisce. So that's slowly gone because my family is here, my son, my wife, and my grandchildren, and so slowly the roots, you know, are being uprooted there, and I feel much more at home here.
Yeah. Well, you know, I can imagine. They say, you know, home is where the heart is, and for you, you know, you have home in two places in the world, right. Here and there, and I know it's got to be, you know, such a reminiscent time when you go back.
But I've learned
native country.
I've learned to like a lot of places here in America, and you're from North Carolina. I like that. It's a beautiful state, and I was there a few months ago in Bath, and what a beautiful place, and what nice people. And Raleigh, Durham, I remember, has a very good airport. Very clean, very nice. There are so many beautiful places in America, Mike, and I've been almost everywhere, you know. So it depends on. I remember being somewhere in Iowa on some public appearance, and then I usually like to sneak away from the hotel and then just run to the wheat fields, you know. By myself. I love that. And Canada, I mean, Toronto, I've always enjoyed, I must say. And once in the middle of Canada and on the way to Lethbridge, and I told the limo driver to stop, and I just wanted to run by the side of the road of the prairie. And there's so many. New York is a fascinating city. I did a film in Texas, and we traveled all the way through from one end to the other, and we filmed near Brackettville, Texas, and that had its own charm. And it's a lot of places I like. Paris, I love Paris, you know. Love Paris, and London. But the countryside in England is fantastic. But the countryside in America is beautiful. My God, when you travel through it, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, you know, areas in Ohio and Iowa, and obviously Montana, Wyoming. I've been to all the Colorado, New Mexico. I've been everywhere. California's gorgeous places here. So it's a beautiful world, and we must not screw it up.
Right. We should always take the time to smell the roses at the side of the road.
Oh, my God almighty. You're right about that. And that's why I love nothing more than taking long walks and take my son's dog for a walk, and I'll sit by myself in the garage and turn on music and lift weights and our box, go down to the ghetto in Los Angeles, and used to go boxing there for years in the ghetto gyms, and that has a different atmosphere. Been very lucky to have been in so many places, you know, and Istanbul, for example, what a fascinating place. My God, what a fascinating place. What history. And, you know, you should make a habit of wherever you go, you should study the history of a famous place if you go to it. Even if you go to the South, think of the Civil War, think of all that. It's just extraordinary. American history is so damn interesting. And
I couldn't agree more.
Oh, it is so interesting. You know, if you read David McCullough, wrote a book about John Adams, and then when you think that at that time it took him 4 weeks in the winter to ride from Boston to Philadelphia, for example, on horseback until he got there. And when you think of these intellects who were the founding fathers of America, these bright, extremely well-read people. John Adams, I think, was fluent in Latin. He had knowledge of Greek. It's a fascinating world, and the more you study about it, the more you learn about it, the more fascinating it is.
And it seems like, I'm sorry, the children don't appreciate that, because I know myself as a child going through history class, you didn't appreciate it. You just wanted to get through it.
Yeah, but
as
taught,
an adult, you learn to appreciate it.
It's often taught so badly, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, the curricula are very rigid, and it's often taught so badly. When you go to Bath, North Carolina, for example, you talk to some of the locals there, and they tell you about the history of it. It's fascinating. It's just unbelievably fascinating. You know.
And I think too, today in today's society, life is so fast paced that people don't take the time to really, learn about their local culture and learn about, what is historical, even in their state. And there is so much. I know in North Carolina, it's just jam packed full of, historical places, and you could go on forever learning about, every inch of this country. There's just so much to know, and you could never know it all. It's kind of like going to Washington, D.C. and visiting the Smithsonian. You can never see it all in a day. It would take, days upon days.
You're right.
And history is very much like that. You may think you've grasped everything in one sitting, but you go back to it again and you realize, you catch something you didn't catch before. And it's so very enlightening. So it's probably the biggest educational piece that we have in our country, because history is what founded us. And
exactly. And I think there's a tendency sometimes in America to sort of want to forget that. But we all came. Most Americans are descendants of people who came as I came, by boat, with a damn suitcase in my hand at the age of 18, and not knowing anyone, not knowing anything. I knew someone, but beyond that, didn't know anything. And you just take a chance, and America is full of those people. That's why this country is so indomitable, I think, because it is full of people who genetically had the guts to get up and uproot and, go into a totally new adventure. You know nothing about it.
Right, and usually not have much to come here with.
Well, I had $50 in my pocket now.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I know in
you do all kinds of jobs.
May of 2000, I'm sorry?
I said you do all kinds of jobs, to make a living from, my God, I did everything. From being a cowboy to moving furniture to washing dishes to parking cars and, and I'm grateful for it all.
Well, it helped you become the person that you are today.
Yep.
What I was saying, in May 2007, you received the Ellis Island Medal of Honor, which honors immigrants who come to America. My question is, if you were in charge of immigration or could help with the laws, what would you do?
Well, I tell you, that is a very, very tough question for me to answer as an immigrant, because I came here and had to go through all the legal steps to get here. Mm-hmm. And so it's an issue. I usually am very liberal and very open-hearted, but I must say, when it comes to that issue, I have difficulty accepting the fact that people just come here illegally, and it makes me a little angry. On the other hand, I think we have always in this country been enormously hypocritical about the crossings of very poor people from Latin America, who are desperately looking for a better life. We have been hypocritical in the sense that both sides, both Democrats and Republicans and Americans in general, and certainly big corporations and big businesses, because they have profited from that cheap labor.
Exactly.
And we knew it all along. We knew it all along. In other words, in L.A., for example, and this goes for a lot of cities in America, the entire gastronomy, in other words, all restaurants will go broke tomorrow if it weren't for the cheap labor. And, I've known and I've played soccer against a lot of Mexicans and obviously go to restaurants where they work very hard. They're very hard-working people who have obviously contributed to this country.
Right.
Who work in sweatshops downtown L.A. and for factories. And so I'm very ambivalent about it. we have, and I think that has never been really talked about, we in the 50s and 60s here in America were so afraid of another Cuban revolution happening somewhere in South America that we sort of allowed that immigration to, do you understand? We allowed them to come into America to absorb the revolutionary potential of Mexico and Salvador and Guatemala and all those countries, where the difference between rich and poor was so enormous, the chasm was so huge, that you really had a revolutionary potential in all those countries. And I think we knew that, and I think we opened our borders, with one wink. Do you understand? We sort of
right. Oh, yeah, definitely.
And we have always been hypocritical because we are more concerned about avoiding another revolution next door, namely Mexico or Salvador or whatever. We were never honest about it. Mm-hmm. So, and then of course all big businesses profited enormously from cheap labor. And so I think most immigrants or illegal immigrants have paid their dues, I think.
Right.
So obviously one has to come to some accommodation. In other words, we couldn't possibly put them all on buses or planes and say, okay, you got to go across the border again. Yeah. On the other hand, for me as a legal immigrant who jumped through all kinds of hoops to come here legally, and it's almost impossible nowadays to come in here from Europe as an immigrant. They stopped that more or less.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult, I think what we should do probably is what I assume Obama is trying to do, is to somehow accommodate those who have been here, who have had honest jobs, have worked hard, and most of them have. I know so. I see them work very hard. Mm-hmm. And reward them for that somehow, but then close the damn thing.
Right.
I mean, what,
right.
We can't close the border?
Yeah.
You must be kidding me. It's bullshit. Bullshit.
Yeah. But it is our border, after all.
Of course it is our border. Don't tell me that we can't close the damn thing.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
So
it's very true.
We can come up with nuclear bombs and everything, so why can't we close the border?
But the point is that what it has done is it has allowed the status quo in Latin countries to continue. In other words, the inequities between rich and poor are so extraordinary that we have allowed that to sort of persist because the hopeless and the poor and the desperate always say, well, we can somehow sneak across the border and come to America.
Right.
And it has been to the benefit of America in many ways, no question about that. But when it comes to the legality of it, I have ambivalent feelings about it. Let me put it that way, very ambivalent, because the Mexicans I've known or the Latins I've known who've come here have worked damn hard. So I mean really hard, and I see it all the time. And so I think they need to be somehow rewarded. And obviously, kids who were born here, who had nothing to do with the decision to come here, I think they should be part of the American society, period. So, but it's a difficult issue. But everyone in America, and I hope that neither Republicans nor Democrats have the audacity to say that one or the other is guilty. It's nonsense. We all are. All of us here
true.
are.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And having just held our presidential election, do you have a perspective on President Obama winning re-election?
Yes, I mean, not holding back about my political views. I like Obama. I voted for him, and that's as simple as it is. I think the man needs a chance for another 4 years to try to make certain things happen. I think when you have in the opposition and the person of Mitch McConnell, one of those nerds, one of those guys, a day or two after the assumption of power by President Obama, he says, our task, our responsibility is to make sure that he is a one-term president. Well, that's outrageous. Mm-hmm. So it's politics is about the art of compromise, and when you have a group of people that are diametrically opposed and rigidly opposed and will not come to any compromise, something is dreadfully wrong.